What's up, everyone? So today we're going to do something a little bit different, which is that I'm going to do a reaction video to a request for some advice that I got. So Ryan emailed me and said, hey, look, we're a bootstrap startup and you're doing fine, but we can't afford your services. We're just too small and early stage. Can you help us out? So I said, sure, shoot me a video and walk through whatever issues you have. And so the cost is that I'm going to do this video. So I'm going to record myself watching your video, and then I'm going to show it to you guys, the audience, and maybe everyone will learn something. So that's the idea. I haven't watched Ryan's video beforehand. I think their software is doing something within sales optimization, but let's have a look here. He's very secretive about his margins. So he sent me sort of just that one number input on email. So I have that, and I'll try and use it without letting you guys know, because apparently Ryan thinks it's sensitive. So let's have a look here. So Ryan Tully suggested pricing changes for our SaaS product. There's something in here, and he say, hey, there in this Loom, I'll be discussing our SaaS product's value proposition, current pricing, issues that have arisen, and suggested solutions. Okay, the whole thing. What did it mean? But let's see. Our product allows you to personalize your cold emails at scale, resulting in more positive responses, meetings, and revenue. Our pricing is closely tied to the value we provide and our costs. Okay. But we've identified that it's too expensive for a self-serve option. Let's dig into that if that's true later. But I'll be presenting suggested pricing structure changes, including an entry-level plan, differentiated based on support and length of personalization, LinkedIn-related personalization use cases. We want to encourage people to try our product and see that it works, which is why we haven't blocked the number of campaigns or users. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these changes. Okay, so they have a pricing model which is doing a job, but they want to do better, so they're proposing some changes. So let's see what Ryan has here. We're going to start on speed and then see how fast it speaks.
Hey, thanks a lot for clicking on this video. I'm going to cover a few things in this. Our software product's value proposition, the current pricing and the rationale behind it, the issues that has led to, and the suggested solutions or the suggested changes to pricing to address these. And it would be amazing if we could get your thoughts on these topics I'm about to discuss about. So, a little bit of context on our value proposition. It's a SaaS product which allows you to personalize your cold emails at scale, and the value proposition is that you would use our SaaS product in conjunction with your current cold email campaigns or setting up new cold email campaigns, and more of the list that you input into that cold email campaign will convert into positive responses, which converts into meetings, which typically convert into revenue. So that's why someone would use our product. And we have priced the product relative to each personalization credit, because that's exactly where the value that we provide, and it's very closely tied to our cost, which is non-negligible. We thought about going even further and doing it per view of the personalization that we provide, because we can track that. But given the non-negligible cost that we have, that's not an option, because it would put us in a difficult position if not enough of the personalizations were viewed.
Great. So he's increasing the value of email campaigns. Great. I have a list. That list is worth more if I can generate a higher conversion rate by sending to it. And the first issue that you have with these kinds of tools is, are you a horizontal solution or you're a vertical solution? So horizontal solutions would be MailChimp. MailChimp usually has to charge per subscriber at a very low rate, and then they have to live with the fact that some people get an extremely high ROI out of MailChimp while others don't, right? So if your customers are worth a lot, and you can have a lot of money in a list of just 100 people. When I started out, I had a list of maybe 200 people in my email list, and I calculated after a little while that I made around 15,000 in sales for every post I made, just like random, hey, this is an update, I have a concept, doing something, which very quickly, actually, in the first year or two of consulting that I made me not email the list, because I didn't have time to actually capture the work, because I had so much work doing with referrals. But the list was worth, let's say it was 200 people and was 15,000. So it's like 150. So $75 per recipient per shot, right? So that means that every recipient was worth thousands a year if I had actually used it anymore. While other emails lists are worth way, way less. So whenever you're monetizing something like this, especially like a sales tool, you want to know what the value of the sale is. If you want to go vertical, then you can capture part of that value, or you want to just decide to be a broader tool, and then you would have to charge on a more sort of broader scale, like the input sources, like the one subscriber or the one personalization. So I'm a little bit curious here looking at Ryan, like what they have done. Are they a general tool or are they a vertical tool?
So just to quickly run you through, you'll see the pricing. The pricing is actually, quite expensive for a SaaS product. Or
red flag, quite expensive compared to what, right? So if it's £2,000, I don't know, let's say that's per day, right? Expensive compared to what? If I'm making 20 per day extra from using it, it's a steal, right? A lot of SaaS products have a higher ACV of 100, 200, 300, 400 if you're sort of enterprisey. Some have lower. So I'm curious, like, what makes Ryan think this? Why is he think from a self-serve proposition, maybe to the ICP that he's currently marketing, it is more than they usually pay for software, but let's not make the jump that it is expensive. We haven't determined that at all.
A lot of our customers say that, especially for a self-serve SaaS product, which is, a bit of a spoiler alert, what we want to transition more so to.
Still, okay, Azure is self-serve. Some companies use €1 million a month on Azure before they ever speak to a sales rep from Microsoft, right? So again, it depends on what kind of value proposition to get, where it sits in the organization, what it is that you're buying. People get caught up in these comparisons for how their sales channels ought to work a lot. And I think a lot of it is just unnecessary and just fog that they need to remove because it doesn't add any value to think this is more or less expensive than something else.
But the rationale behind why we had it previously was that we needed cash flow for ourselves personally. That's less of an issue now that we've grown and that we have other income sources. And secondly, our SaaS product actually requires effort. Like, the results you can get can be tremendous. And we do have lots of customers who pay these expensive prices and are really happy because the results are there. But you need to put in a lot of effort to get them. So we felt like at the start, having a high price would mean that we'd be closely linked to the value we provide, and more people would be wanting to put in effort to get that price. This is just to kind of show the breakdown per contact. We're not able to provide exact predictions on what that will happen, what value that will provide to our users, because again, it depends on their offer, their targeting. But what we typically do see is a 2x increase in the number of meetings booked, which is really powerful given
2x. Okay, and so the cost per personalization is 20 pence. So what's that? 25 cents, euro cents, or dollar cents. If I buy them at volume and I get a 2x increase in the ROI on my email list, those leads have to be pretty damn worthless for this not to work out.
That's, for a lot of companies, they're top of funnel, so that can increase in a 2x increase in revenue. So currently, we only really have two factors which affect pricing ascension. That's volume of usage and whether we offer expert consultation. So that will be either from myself or a lead generation expert that we've hired in-house to help set up campaigns for our users. And I'll touch on a little bit more on that in a second, but just quickly to go through, we've made all integrations open to all plans, as well as all integrations available to all plans, because that makes it easier for our customers to ascend if leads can fly in directly through our software to either another software or from another software. So that's the rationale before giving it to everyone, because it's a value-added feature which people probably would pay for, but it makes it easier for people to ascend. And here we've got guides and a feature that improves email deliverability. We've decided to offer that to everyone because it really improves the quality, the output that our SaaS provides to our users, and I feel that that's something that we want to encourage our users. We want to encourage our users to make the most of, because they'll get the most out of our software. Cool. That's the rationale behind the current pricing.
Okay, so I just want to comment on the logic here. So what we see here actually isn't a tiered pricing in the sense that apart from the expert consultation, that Ryan is offering anything different to one tier versus another. The only differentiation is volume, and he wants to sell it in a chunky way, right? So let's say I do the 147 product. a month, let's assume it's a month, versus the $497 a month. Okay. What's the difference? Well, I get an expert consultation. Okay, so that's likely something I need once as part of the onboarding. Maybe I get it more than once, but it sounds like sort of it's an added onboarding. Sure, valuable, but other than that, it's just reducing my unit price from, let's say, 30 pence to 25. So okay, that's an 18% discount rate for me buying 4 times the volume. Maybe that's okay. I think the issue that you're going to see here is that really he's just selling different volumes, and customers likely will not need these exact amounts, right? So some might need 1,500. So then what? They have to buy 2,000, and then they have to sort of just increase, like aggregate the 500 excess that they have. So with these sort of volume chunks, I'm wondering, especially with the 10K jump, if there's going to be someone sort of sitting in the middle, say, hey, I only 5K, and then he has to sort of negotiate that. Also, the discount isn't, maybe it's attractive enough. I don't know. Definitely what we're not seeing is we're only seeing expansion on one parameter, which is volume of emails. And they have that anyway. So it isn't like he's going to, by providing the tool, the customer is going to generate a bigger list. So actually what might happen is that the customer, with the list that they have, by using his tool, will send them fewer times. So actually by using the tool, like the volume of sends will go down, so that they can get the same ROI out of the list or better without sending them as many emails. So, which is fine. I mean, this is also a value add. It's just that there is no inherent feature or functionality in the product that actually increases usage in and of itself. I think the usage is pre-given and is independent from the model. And also there is no functionality, apart from the expert consultation, that I could want and then upgrade because of, right? So it's like I get access to everything, and then I use this as much as I want, and I pretty likely would want to use it for all my emails, and that's it. So we have a very simple structure here. We're just counting the usages and we're pricing that, and that's the essential proposition. So what this doesn't do is it doesn't really differentiate really well between different types of customers outside of the pure volume game. So maybe I have someone with a very, very sophisticated setup that needs a lot of features, and they have very high value client. Let's think private banking, for example. And they want to have a lot of different functionality, a lot of different, they have maybe, let's say, more sophisticated organizational structures and so forth, versus someone that have very, let's say, mass lists and aren't very sophisticated, like supermarket chain that just wants to email all their customers every week. Like this is what we still sell, like we do every week, right? And everything in between. So what we're not doing is we're not price differentiating based on something like sophistication or the value of the customer can get out of the tool. We're not giving any sort of real drivers for them to increase their volume, partly because we can't with this tool and so forth. So what I would look into if I were to just redesign this from what he looked at would be something like, okay, let's make the volume increasing more smooth, and let's make some feature differentiation in different sort of feature differentiated tiers, like a basic and advanced and whatever very advanced version, depending a little bit on what we do. And then we might split the expert consultation out as an expert onboarding or just a premium support version where we get access to this all the time. Maybe instead of a consultation, we get ongoing reviews of our setup and optimization of these. Could be a part of it, but let's see what they have.
As I've kind of touched on, the issue with this is that it makes it difficult for us to move to a self-serve funnel. Currently, we're operating on a sales call funnel, but that means it's human intensive, and the only other ascension path other than the number of credits people use is consultation. So it puts us in almost a hybrid situation where we're too cheap for agency or managed service pricing, but we're offering a lot of that service. But we're too expensive for a traditional self-serve SaaS, but we're offering a lot more than a SaaS. So it puts us in a bit of a strange position. So really, we want to move to a self-serve option, and yeah, the key issue that we've identified is the pricing is too expensive and there's no real entry level pricing. The ascension is only really through videos, which our costs are really tightly linked to.
Okay, so let's stop here. There's a difference between it being too expensive and then there is no entry level pricing, right? So are we saying that the 2,000 per month is too expensive? Or are we saying that I don't trust the software yet and I don't want to spend 147 trying it out, right? That's the difference, because we might have a starter pack at whatever, $9, where, hey, go in, try it out. And then once I'm on there, I'm actually happy paying the 2,000. So we just want to keep these two issues separate.
And or ascension is linked to human intervention, which again is the antithesis of self-serve.
Also, don't be afraid of costs. Like Ryan is maybe he's spending like 20 hours a day just grinding out expert consultations with his customers. But if he's building the ARR and the customers are sticky, then spending a lot of this effort up front can actually be a good thing. One, also because you just learn so much from this interaction. And if these are monthly costs that you just showed me, even at the sort of 150 a month, that's still 1,800 pounds, so that's $2,000 a year. So the margins on delivering the software part isn't like, they're not awful. So he can actually spend some time both in the sales process and so forth and still have profitable customers, assuming that customers stick around for a few years. If he has a major churn issue where they only stick around for a year or so, that's the issue. But he shouldn't solve that by reducing his spend in sales and customer success and so forth. He should try and fix that with the product and maybe even increase his spend with customer success to make the product and the experience more sticky. So, but let's see what his reflection is.
So here is the suggested pricing structure changes. It's the introduction of going from 4 to 5. One of my key reservations is that 5 is too many and can be like confusing.
So use as many plans as makes sense. If you have the features and the product maturity to back it up, research says it's all the way up to 7 tiers actually is fine. That means that you get better conversion rates, higher ARPA, lower churn, and so forth. After that, it starts to trickle off a little bit, and some metrics trickle off already after 5. But we see a pretty strong linear increase all the way from going from 1 package to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and then it flattens out a little bit up, but still gains or increases up to 7. After which it sort of flattens out. However, stats are meaningless. Look at your product.
And here we have, an entry-level plan to allow people to come in and test the software for cheaper. We've added in further differentiation based on the number of the support we can get. We've added in differentiation around length here of the personalization, and we've left it there because after this point, it stops being something that necessarily delivers more value. Standard personalization, that's really the core offering. And here we have LinkedIn-related personalization and use case. And basically, if your use case relates to something here, this is going to be something really powerful. So we think that's going to want to make people to ascend to these higher plans straight away. And again, LinkedIn is one of those. The deliverability feature is, again, on that same wavelength, that it's kind of like a revolutionary feature that we're bringing to the market soon. And it's something that people we believe will be keen to pay for. We've added in email verification because it's part of our users' workflow that keeps them.
It's made me curious. What is the premium deliverability? Maybe we'll never know. Okay, let's see here.
Keeps more of their workflow associated with our SaaS product, but also it's a cost that they will bear and one that we can do very cost effectively, so we can just add it in. This is added in because we believe the coaching or consultation calls are very valuable and do increase retention, but we want to make them the exception rather than the rule. And then we've gone for the same approach when it comes to integrations and access to guides, because it's going to help people to get good. It's going to help people to get good results and ascend through our pricing via the videos. So that's the kind of situation we found ourselves in. It'd be great to hear your thoughts. The other thing to maybe just quickly touch on is that we have considered pricing based on number of campaigns that someone uses our SaaS for, but we thought that limits our users to not using our product as much, not testing it in different scenarios as much, so that would actually have a negative impact. And secondly, a lot of SaaS products obviously price based on user, and we didn't really feel that was appropriate because there isn't any particular increased value for our users to have it with more, to use it with more or less users. And we want to actively encourage more. We wouldn't want to stop more of someone within more employees within a company using our product, because it's one of those things where someone can prove it out and get really good results, and then suddenly everyone goes for a bit of a frenzy on it. And that's kind of the case that we found with sales products, in that if they just result in one new deal signed, or as soon as they start showing results, there's a really strong willingness to pay. So we really want to encourage people to try it, see that it works, and that's why we've not blocked with the number of users that we have available.
So he has 5 packages, and so he basically wants people to say, hey, we're going to buy some sort of fixed volume of, now it's called videos, and then he's just dividing the price here. So if I'm paying 147 and I divide by 1,000, it's 0.147 per video, which I am assuming is the personalization. Okay, great. So now we essentially have 2 directions that a customer can be in. Like, they have volume and they have need for features, right? And what we're doing here is we're going to say, well, they are perfectly correlated. If I need more volume, I also need more features. Maybe, but maybe not, right? So what I would usually do with structures like this is I would separate the 2 out. So, and we're just going to do a little test here. And we're just going to create a new spreadsheet for Ryan here. So we're just going to say, what do we call the packages? Starter and basic and grow. Let's see, we could do 3. And then we're going to say price per personalization. And then we're going to do features. And we could just going to pick a few of the features that he has. So he has priority support, LinkedIn, use case-based personalization, and then we had the premium deliverability. And then we did something like yes, and we're just going to make it green here. So we're just going to do, we're going to do no, because we don't want to offer that. And then, so we have a lot of basic features that we're not going to mention here, right? So he had like the regular deliverability and so forth. So we're just saying, say, hey, what's different between these tiers? And then, so we're going to say personalization packs, and we're just going to say 100. We're just going to say 500, and we're going to say 1,000. So the idea is how I would probably do this. It would say, hey, if you're a starter, you have to buy 1,000 at a time. And the price per personalization would be, let's say, 15 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents, right? And then you do above 5K, above whatever, 25K, above 50K, something. You create your tranches of what you want to sell, and then you essentially create discounts from that, and then base it on the overall pricing, right? So you're saying, hey, if I am a grow pack customer, it's because I want to have all these features down here. But then I pay a premium price per the packs of credits I'm buying, and I have to buy 1,000 at a time. So I'm buying 1,000, that costs me $250. Okay, that's not a lot, so maybe I can afford that. And then the key here is that you want to make it a subscription, right? So you want to say you have to subscribe to some increment of 1,000. So that could be 1,000, 7,000, 11,000, whatever. If you want to downgrade, you can go back from 11 to 7,000 or 5 or 2, whatever it is. But it has to be a full 1,000 every time. You can't do 1,222 because that's what you want to use. You have to go full 1,000 every time. And then you just put that on a recurring revenue basis and say, hey, that's what you do. If ever you hit a subscription of 5K or more, that price drops to, let's say, 22 cents per ride. So you want to incentivize the added subscription rate, and then you want to do something like, let's say you actually want to do something like this. And then you essentially let them choose what kind of feature pack they want. So say, hey, if I don't want any of the advanced features, so these are not the features, these are the advanced features. All basic features are included. So I don't care about product support. I don't care about the LinkedIn version of this. I don't care about the use case-based personalization or the premium deliverability or any of all. Then I'm just a starter. But I'm a starter even if I have to use 50,000 credits. because I'm just not sophisticated enough to use that functionality, but I still have the volume. So I want a really good volume price without a lot of the extras. Okay, that's great. So I would probably just do something like that, where the volume would then dictate. And then could I buy it at 1,000? Look at the structure, not the individual numbers here. But if I then say, hey, I actually would like the LinkedIn version and the privacy support, or whatever else sort of the next step of advanced features I have, then I'm tier 2, right? And if I want all the advanced features, I'm tier 3. You can build 4 tiers, that's fine. But the idea is that you differentiate each tier based on the functionality, like what can I do with this, not how much of it can I do. The how much you just handle in the pricing, the base price points, and then you build these, what I call discount curves off of the volume within that sort of functionality package, right? So here, a discount curve goes from 15 cents to 11. So we have a 4% discount. As we go to volume, here it goes from 25 to 17. You figure out what the volumes are. Usually I would say start it relatively high at low volumes, and then figure out what the largest potential customers you could get that comes through the door should pay per volume feature. So the idea here is that if you're targeting customers that can do well, way above 50K, 50K shouldn't be at the top, like the top tier, right? Then if you want to get to customers that can do 50K, then your price list should go to at least 100K, right? So you never want a customer that breaks the price list. But then you just do something like this to actually sort of separate it into the functionality they want, and you do something like this to separate it into the volume that they want. Something like this, if I do 100, I could basically start at, $50, 50 pounds, right? And then also what you can do is you can run promotions if you have a credit-based systems where you say, hey, if you sign up now, I'm going to add you another 500 credits, like a one-off, right, to do these things. And you can also do that, the discounted coaching calls, people are not going to do that. So I think this is a really high-end value proposition that you have, where you just want to add this as much as you can and just spend the time. You can definitely charge for it, meaning that you just raise the core pricing, or you can charge for it in the way that you push it out into an add-on saying, hey, we're going to have an add-on here, and then you do coaching. Maybe we want to call something else. Well, we want to call it ongoing expert optimization, something like that. Let's do that. And then you just have a product, and then it's just something like, well, that is, I don't know, what do you want to charge for it? $500 a month. And then you just do unlimited calls, or whatever you think is the right, but work from what would be right for the customer, and then work backwards from that, right? What would be like the real mouth-watering, great product or service to have, and then figure out, okay, so what would people pay for that, and then charge that. Then you figure out how much it costs you to deliver, right? But the cost can't, unless you're really breaking the bank and losing money on each of these, hand over fist, then don't do it. But if you are just barely breaking even on a premium service like this, you should probably offer it. You can just scale it out, because what it's going to do is it's going to increase every other volume, and it's going to increase expansion across the functionality tiers as well. And then the last thing I had with your pricing was the email verifications. We're just going to do email verifications, which is just a thing that you do. And you're just going to do 1 credit. It's just going to cost them 1 credit. So they can do it. The functionality is available for anyone in the system to just verify the emails, but they're going to pay a credit doing it. And they have just bought the credit. So now you created something in the system that they can spend their credits on, right? So if you have a personalization credit, and then essentially it becomes a currency in a tiny ecosystem between you and the customer, and you can invent services into that ecosystem that they can then spend. So products or services they can buy on this. You could even have it so that the ongoing expert optimization can be bought with these credits. But I think for the kind of product you have, and I probably wouldn't go there yet until you've gone more enterprise with it. But for something like email verifications, that's super simple. I pretty much know what it is. It's a standard. I want to run a list to it. I can see that I have whatever 2011 on the list, and I want to verify them. And so I know exactly what the cost is. So I'm hoping that this sort of makes general sense, and power to you, Ryan, and the team for doing this. I think I'm hoping some of the takeaways or ideas that I gave you are helpful. And if not, write me again, right? But thank you so much for now. Cheers. Take care, guys.